I stand before you not knowing the next words that are going to come out of my mouth. Because for the last couple weeks, I have been reminded on many different levels and in many different ways how, I just haven't been trusting. I really haven't been truly loving. Everything you just heard. Those are things that I have experienced, that I've moved through. It's part of my life. And I will be totally honest. We have a saying in our house, same action, different core. Something can look the same on this way, but it's motivated by something underneath here. And I honestly recognize how so many of my actions have been cored in fear, have been motivated by a sense of distrust, of lack, of not being worthy, of not being accepted, of being judged, blah, 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 blah. And I've been okay with that, up until a little while ago, where it started showing up in my face. I would look around and say, wait a minute, what's this about? Haven't I been here before? It feels like this spiral of patterns that just keep showing up, these people that keep showing up, that keep reminding us, hey, turn the mirror. And one of the ways I like to demonstrate this idea, because what I've also been diligently aware of is the need for self-compassion. We are spiritual beings in this human experience, and every single thing that we're experiencing helps us remember that we are not our experiences. We are so much more. That was even the 13th life lesson that I had in my book for cancer. 10 years ago, here we go with this spiral again. And I'm very hard-headed, I guess. And it just takes a while, okay? But for the last couple of weeks, I've been reminded by beautiful, beautiful teachers and mirrors that I am not these experiences. I am a vessel through which nature moves. I was taking a walk yesterday and I saw this beautiful red leaf. And all the other leaves were green. And realized that leaf just turned red on its own. It's natural. That's its process. And it's red when everything else is green. And that's okay. Because you can't force a flower to bloom and you can't stop it when it's ready. So what I'm going to do today is to share a couple of the perspectives that I carry with me as I live my day-to-day. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're for you. I'm just here as a mirror. And if it feels comfortable, take it with you. If it doesn't, leave it alone. And I will play, don't worry. One of the metaphors that has helped me accept some of the things that were really and have been really difficult for me to look at is I see everybody as a harp. I see everyone as a beautiful instrument with your own unique set of strings, with your own unique experiences and beliefs and paradigms and perceptions, and no two harps are the same. It's impossible. It's impossible for you to think, or for me to think, that I see life like you do, or that you see life like I do. There's no way. I mean, think about all even the genetic patterning through epigenetics that we inherit through our ancestral line. are so full. We are so full of all of these strings. And we bring this fullness into every moment. And what happens? So I have several different harps. They're all different, but they all have a middle C. And they all have a low C. So they have similar strings, but they're all different because they're on this, these strings are on this harp. Those strings are on that harp. But as humans, we have similar strings. We have strings of pain and loss, and love and joy, because that's part of the human experience. But how we experience those strings are unique to us. That's why sometimes language gets in the way, because our minds are interpreting the words based on our experience. And no two experiences are the same. One of the fun demonstrations that I like to share, because people use the term, we use these terms like resonance and vibes and vibration. But I like to demonstrate exactly like what it is. So I have these two tuning forks, and they are the same frequencies. They were created to resonate, to sing, to sound at the same frequency, okay? So I'm going to strike one, just to let you hear it. And then I'm going to strike it again and leave this one open, so you can hear what happens. So I struck this one, it started to vibrate, it moved through the air. The air is the medium that carries the sound waves. It activated the second tuning fork because the tuning fork is the same frequency. If this was a different frequency, it would not sing, it would not activate. Okay, I'm going to do it again. This is called sympathetic vibration. When two objects at the same frequency come into close proximity to each other, they create a resonant system. They begin to sing together. I like to demonstrate sympathetic resonance because that's a concept. I've had engineers come up and say, oh, we learned that in our classes. But I never thought to apply it to interpersonal relationships. If you feel it, it's moving inside of you. It's sympathetically resonating. We are part of that equation. We have all of these strings inside of us. They all vibrate. They all resonate. You come into contact, you come close. We are sympathetically resonating right now. We cannot not do that. And so, for me, when I have mirrors that show up in my space, and I don't want to look at the mirror, I don't want to look at it, or if I don't want to be in the same space with it, I have to turn the mirror and ask myself, why? Because it's sympathetically resonating something in me that I haven't looked at yet, or that I've been afraid of yet to look at. And honestly, I've been looking at some monsters. I have been looking at really scary monsters in me. Because I have a full range. I'm not going to just hang out in the top happy notes. Then I lose the beauty and the depth of the low strings. And then I have fear. And I'm fearing myself. And that doesn't make sense. Because We are nature moving through us. We are the divine moving through us. So in the last couple of weeks, I've had this beautiful image, because sound, it can be craziness, like this is life. But if I slow down, same strings, but there's space. There's space between the notes. There's space between my thoughts. There's space between the breath. There's a trust. And the sound, I've always felt sound like emanating from this silence. And that silence is the essence of our being. That silence is the divine in us as we let go and just allow that space to be right here now in the silence. And I've been visualizing it as this beautiful pond, like this water, and then all of a sudden I'm moving, here's the moment now, and here's the moment now, and here's my experience now. And I trust that it unfolds and it moves through me as I stay open. If I feel tight, that's my fear. I know what that feels like because I've lived it for so long. And I can say that with compassion, because it taught me and it brought me to this point right now, where I don't have to be afraid of my monsters. I don't have to be afraid to speak my truth. And literally I've just started doing that. Literally like yesterday. In a way I've never done it before. Because my fears of being alone, of being judged, of being abandoned, of not being accepted, all of those stories, all of those patterns. Because I'm adopted too. Like I was adopted when I was a month old. Loving, loving family. Full of compassion. Yes, there's still someplace inside of me I feared. So I am going to play today. And I would invite you to just open. I don't know what I'm going to play. I'm just going to put my fingers on the string and let it move through. And the sound is this highway. The sound moves through the air and sympathetically resonates. Whatever is within you, however it is to be with you. I played on Wednesday for a women's networking group, and a couple of women came up to me afterwards and said, I started to cry. I'm like, yeah. They go, but it wasn't tears of sadness. I said, I understand. It's the tears of love and the joy and whatever is moving through the music. And however you are experiencing its message, that is for you. And we all have the ability to live like that, and to create like that, and to be like that with each other, because our voices are our melody. Our eyes create the connection. Every expression brings that which is within us out into the world and becomes a highway of connection that sympathetically resonates with those around us. And so to turn the mirror and to feel and find that space inside of you. And that's what you're sharing with the world, by just simply being in every moment. Here. Now. Okay? So like when you want to be energized and you listen to fast music, okay, your body is feeling the rhythmic aspect. Our bodies have many, many rhythms inside, but I like to focus on like the 3 B's because it's easy to remember: the brainwaves, the breathing, and the heartbeat. So like when we want to relax, we take a deep breath. We're slowing down our breath, right? Well, these 3 B's entrain with each other. So as you slow down your breath, your brain waves begin to slow down, and your heartbeat begins to slow down. So it is a powerful concept to be aware of, because how fast we talk. I could be talking really, really fast, and then you're going to be starting to get a little anxious and nervous because your brain waves are going to be going faster, and your breathing and your heart rate is going to. But if I slow down the rhythm, of my speech, then we can take a deep breath, and we can feel calm, and we can create a sense of safety and connection. So being aware of entrainment is a really interesting concept to just be conscious of, because we're affected of it. We're affected by it, whether we're aware of it or not. So, as a therapeutic musician, one of the ways that we share music, because our intention is to go in and create a space that optimizes healing for the patient. We do not go in and we do not use music the same way a music therapist uses music. A music therapist is trained to elicit clinical outcomes, very specific outcomes, whether it is for stroke victims or Alzheimer's or gait, or they use music for very, very specific reasons. A therapeutic musician goes in, and we are not attached to the outcome. We create the space that is most conducive for the patient to feel comfort, or whatever they need in the moment. So one of the ways that we do this is with what we call non-rhythmic music. So like if you put on music and you can tap your foot to it, it has a consistent rhythm. That's one way that we can entrain the breathing of the brain waves. And that's a reason why a lot of the research is showing that when you listen to music, you can reduce the heart rate, the anxiety, the need for medication. A lot of that is simply because of entrainment. When we use non-rhythmic music, it's like a note, and then there's space. And then another note, and then there's space. And it allows you to find your own natural rhythm.